Clemson University is joining the growing list of upstate institutions joining the SC Department of Veterans Affairs Coalition to support veterans in their education, career development, and military adjustment. The school says it has about 424 student veterans, many of them combat veterans. The majority of those vets enlist right after high school, so they're in their late 20s by the time they become a student, trying to juggle college with full-time jobs. The school says the partnership and their military and veteran engagement program were designed to make each vet feel welcome.
I recently received an email from a combat veteran with a Purple Heart who said, "You asked me my name in the resource center, and later that made me feel welcome on campus." So those small connections, just letting folks know that there is someone here that understands and that cares, that's really important to me, and I think that's the heart of what we do in military and veteran engagement.
Upstate Warrior Solution will have a representative on campus a couple times every week to help students with health care benefits, disability claims, and spousal support, and also give them information on resources they can use.